Greetings, family. This is Dixon, co-founder of Precise Minds Filmworks, educator for 20 plus years, cultural enthusiast.
And I'm Kayode Bentley, president and founder of 4T's Teaching Teens to Think, whose mission is to help inner city youth identify their inherent skill sets in order to complete their education, establish a career, and ultimately start a business if they choose to. Professor at Fordham University, where I teach students who are pursuing their master's degree in social justice.
And with that said, welcome to the Grand Rising Collective, a podcast whose purpose is to cultivate greatness and excellence within ourselves and our communities. The name itself is from the morning greeting of Grand Rising, which we interpret as starting off the day with a greatness mindset so that we are able to rise to the occasion of whatever obstacles and challenges we may face.
And that's why we focus on engagement, relevant information, and empowerment for people in our communities who want to be and do better in their daily lives.
Welcome to the Grand Rising Collective.
Yeah, look up success. It's a charter school that's been around, I think, at least for the past 10 years. And the appeal of this charter school is that they have, and it's from K through 12. And apparently, from over the time, these students are in school from, I think, 8 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the evening. All right. And due to that heavy work schedule, they get a lot of days off, throughout the school year because that's how long they're in school. So I'm saying all this to say this school is supposed, and it baffles me. This school is supposed to have the reputation, right, of being a charter school and, teaching the students and elevating them, and the graduation success rate is 90 plus percentile. And all, I'm bringing this up for a reason. This is kind of off tangent, but kind of on, because for some this thing triggered me. So, not yesterday, the day before yesterday, I'm sitting in Columbia University. The forum, Kyle, where I'm sitting there before I go and check on Pop, trying to get some work done. And after school around 2:30, 3 o'clock, these students in their uniform, they sitting at, public seating area, and they talk, and they chat it up, and, some of them eat their lunch, and it's cool, that's what you're allowed to talk. It's not a library or anything like that. I want to emphasize this, right? And that's what they typically do. It's going on like 3:30. No, it's not that early. Somewhere around 5 or 6. No, about 4:30. It's about 4:30, 5-ish. You got a group of these successful, and I'm saying this because I was highly disappointed. You got a good 8 of them.
Yeah.
About 3 girls, 5 boys, somewhere in that range. And they're sitting there in this area and they are acting a fool.
Wow.
They are, they're loud. They're just like, and the thing that right, and then they doing these goddamn TikToks. You got the girl, orchestrating. You do this real loud. You do this. You move that side, and then this, and then all right. Come on, you do it. And they're taking up. They're not just sitting at a table. They're up now, pushing each other, roughhousing each other. Girl roughhousing the boy, throwing him all over. And what got me was there's this guy that says that he's like, I don't know if he's homeless, but he probably stays in a shelter.
Yeah.
And, usually I stop by the forum on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, before I check on Pop. And it'd be quiet there. People are there with their laptops, they're trying to work. It's a mixed culture crowd. And they're working a lot with it. And this elderly, he's old, lives in the shelter. He's there, and it'd be quiet and serene and peaceful. Again, it's a public place. Got it. Conversation is loud. But he does this grunt, like real loud. I'm like, oh, come on. He's messing with the vibe. But I'm like, when he does that, I'm like, Ned, time for me to go. So I go.
Yeah.
But he does that, right?
Yeah.
So I just say, I can't do it. I fall back on that. With these kids there, he's turning around. The children are so rambunctious that I peep out of my eye. He's turning around looking at them act a fool. Him,
Wow.
right? So I'm like, I mean, Debbie, if y'all had to see it, I wish I recorded it, but you had to see it. It was so, excuse my language, I'm using this word on purpose, deliberately. It was so fucking embarrassing and disappointing to see our young brothers and sisters acting that way. I walked to my car like cursing up a storm. Like, I'm saying, like, read the, and me being a youth leader and stuff, I was tempted to go up to him like, what the fuck, what are you doing? I mean, like, what are
Right.
you doing? Read the room. All right, listen, this is a public lounge. Yeah, you don't have to be quiet. This ain't a library. But the stuff you're doing now is what you're doing in the fucking gym. A
Right.
clubhouse. You don't do that here. What is wrong with y'all? It's bad enough we got a bad reputation as is. What are you doing? And then I had to go back and think, I can't completely blame them. It's the fucking parents. What they're doing, they're learning from their parents or their
Mhm.
uncle or their aunt or their family. That I mean, I'm not doing a justice in describing their behavior, but it was just straight up, it was like children who had no home training,
Yeah.
no home rearing. There was no structure in that fucking household. And it just pissed me off, and I
Mhm.
felt compelled to share this with y'all because I just wanted to vent because I'm like, yo, we got this is a serious problem. And the reason why I emphasize this because and what really throws me off is it's not like they're from a public school.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like a public school with
Yeah.
public support, this is a charter school where students are in the class from 8 in the morning to 5 o'clock. These are parents who are paying for their child. It's expensive. And these kids in, and I get it. You in class 9 to 5, you need a space to let out. You got to kick your feet out. You want to get some of that aggression out. I get it. I understand it. But damn, having your parents taught you there's a time and a place for everything. If you wanted to go the fuck outside, go to a goddamn park, go to some, PAL or something like that. You're in a
Mhm.
collegiate location, Columbia University, with adults in here who are working and, trying to, a little shelter from the cold. Come on. And I mean, I was like, yo, if, if the charter school is producing students like this, yo, we got a problem. We
Yeah.
got a serious problem. They don't
Yeah.
stand a chance against their counterparts, their peers who are of European descent, who are running this shit. They don't stand. And here's the thing: a few months ago, they were, a whole bunch of them there, what have you, and it wasn't
Mhm.
that bad because I was like, it shows our culture's uniqueness, right? From
Mhm.
our culture, Cal, it shows our creativeness as a culture, and boom, boom, boom. I was like, we're creative. This is how we express ourselves. I get it, boom,
Mhm.
boom, boom. I get it. You know what I mean? But it seems like something got missed either with this select group
Mhm.
because the way they were acting did not show no creativity. It showed rebellion. It
Mhm.
showed lack of discipline. It showed lack of structure. It showed a complete ambivalence to who's around and what's around you. And I left that place like, yo, somebody should just mm,
Yeah.
knock some sense into it. And then I'm gonna land my plane on this. So after that, I was like, okay. I went, I was talking with the coach of the Boys and Girls Club I'm in partnership with. And
Yeah.
I was like, because the girls in the club, they had an overnight. In fact, they still there. They leaving today at 1. So they were able
Okay.
to bring their sleeping bag and that stuff. And then last week, um, Sarah, who's in charge of the girls who do Women of Purpose, she brought some guest speakers in from sororities, right?
Mhm.
And they had pizza, and then Miss Heaven brought for TND and Keystone Project and all that, brought some pizza and wings. So the boys are
Mhm.
seeing this, and they're like, "Yo, Miss Sarah, how come they getting pizza and the girls give them pizza?"
Trying
So
to
she's
get
like, "Don't give them nothing." Don't give them.
right.
I can't force that. Don't get the boys. Don't give them nothing. They give people, and then they come and running, talking about, and they don't come running to me. because they know. But they come and
Right.
listen to Sarah. How come we don't get a piece? How come we don't get an overnight? Because your fucking behavior. That's
Right.
right. Yeah, but
Right.
and then the boys but they be giving off the same energy. We only returning their energy. So what? You're accountable for your actions. You're not accountable for nobody else. You're only responsible for what you do. So you're gonna give the same reaction that they're giving? That's not a man. That's not a young man. What are you doing? So when that happened, I said, "Yo, coach, we gotta talk to him." I don't know. We being too strict with them. Coach looked at my face, was like, What? Are we being too strict with them? Are we what?
Right.
We're not being
Right.
strict enough. What's
No.
wrong with you, Kay? I was
Yeah.
like, heard you. Heard. So I'm gonna close this out. Friday, I had the boys. I said, Coach, bring them up to the rec. We're gonna have a talk with them. Behavior management, real talk. And I set it up and Coach just ran with it. And I'm gonna give y'all some highlights. He's like, yo, what is this SMD? You know the reason why you ever heard the term SMD?
I believe so, but I'm not familiar.
Suck my
Oh, okay, got
right. So these kids just
Yeah.
go around saying suck my to other boys,
you. Yeah.
right? And then you got the girls saying it.
Oh, yeah.
Shelly, I hope you listening to this.
Yeah.
You got the girls saying to the boys, suck my. So we got a problem going
I have
on.
so much that I'm listening to and so much to say.
Oh my God. I'm gonna land my plane. I want to hear what you guys say. Right?
No,
so
you keep going.
got you. So coach was like, you never tell another man to suck you think you're tough. Yeah, he went in. He said, you know why you're acting like this? You take no accountability for your actions. He was like, you need to wake up. He was like, oh, he read them the riot act. And he said, one of y'all disrespected me. And I told you, I'm a grown man. Don't you ever disrespect me. He said, one of y'all disrespect me. And you know what I told? I said, I get off at 9 o'clock. God, that's what he said. I get off at 9 o'clock. I'm no longer coach. 9 o'clock. Be right. And he was like, where you gonna be? And they were like, they were like, yo, whatever. We'll be waiting for you at the corner. Coach was like, at the corner? Got you. 9 o'clock. Now I'll be waiting for you right at the corner. 9 o'clock came. He put his stuff down to one of his men hold my stuff. Went right to the corner. All of them were gathering. And homeboy, lo and behold, was not even there. The one that was doing the disrespect was not there. He's like, yo, where's your man at? Where's your brother at? Where he at? I'm talking grown man. Where your brother at? Where he at? Nah, he ain't. He said, oh, no, he might be at PAL. This is coach saying he might be at PAL. And they're like, nah, coach, PAL ain't open. PAL ain't open. Yeah, all right. PAL was open. They were lying. He's like, all right, we're gonna go to PAL or the case of it. Anyway, the little kid was nowhere to be found. So coach was like, yo, any of y'all disrespect me, I don't give a fuck. And this is what he said, I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm gonna take you and I'm gonna slam you to the ground. I'm gonna let you know what time it is. Because you don't ever talk to a grown man that way. The problem with y'all, you've never been touched. You've been talking all this shit among your peers and your friends, but you never had anybody touch you. And when he said touch you, he meant body slam you, put a fist to your mouth, take a steel out their waist and put it to your mouth and your chest. And say, what do you say?
Yeah, consequences.
Like Kevin Hart said, say it with your chest. You never had that's why your talk is bullshit. You think you can talk any way you want to an adult. That's not how I work it. You'll never talk that way to me. Don't ever talk that way to me. I will put my foot up your ass so far you won't be able to breathe. Don't ever talk that way to me. And he was just like in them. They sat there and they were quiet. They shut up. And I'm saying all that to say, I know that was a tyrant went on. When he said that, it was, because I try and keep my lectures within an hour. I said, thank you, coach. I said, I agree with 100% of what, and I said, what you hearing right now, you hearing grown men talk to you. You hearing grown men talk. That's the problem. You don't have this real conversation with grown men. So I said, I broke it down. I said, because of what I just shared with you with the forum, I'm starting to see a fucking pattern. And I'm sorry for cursing, but it's really pissing me off because we got a generation. It doesn't seem like it's getting better. It seems like it's getting worse. And I said, this is what we do. I said, I love y'all, but I'm not putting up with this shit no more. I said, beginning of the year, I said, if I hear you curse, I give you that first warning because you don't know any goddamn better. Because everybody around you, because I hear the second time you out, don't talk to me, no negotiate, pack your shit and go. I love you, I appreciate you. You gotta get the hell out of here. And if you keep that shit up, you won't be allowed back in the club. So that's rule number one. I'm gonna keep it real simple behavior. And another reason why you're not getting no overnight stay like the girls are getting, and you're not getting no pizza and wings, because your behavior is atrocious. You're a young fucking men, and you're acting like little kids, and you're talking about returning energy to girls that they give. You only can be responsible for how you act. Right now, that's it. It's done. So going forward from now on, I'm putting you all on notice. I hear another curse word come out your mouth, you out of here. We're going to start real simple. We're going to start real small. That's where it starts. Watch your mouth. Stop cursing. If this is what it is, and I went to coach, I said, Coach, you got any problem with that? Coach was like, nope. I spoke to all the men staff, and it was just the boys. I said, you got a problem with that? No. I said, everybody got, I said, repeat it to me. Repeat, all y'all repeated to me. What's the first infraction? And they read it down. Got you, Mr. K. Cursing. We kicked out. What's the second one? Behavior management, Mr. K. Got it. Meeting over. Done. After that, everybody was quiet. I said all that. I'm sorry for going on that tirade, but we got a series. I don't know if you realize it or not. I don't know if the same thing is happening for you, Kyle, where you at in Maryland, outside of Washington. Shelly, I don't know if it's happening down
It's
where
happening.
you are with these young people, but we got a serious problem. It's real bad. I think it's coming to the top. It's coming to a head now, where this generation of young people, I mean, something's got to give. Something's got to really give. And I think it's happening already, but I don't want to mention it because I think that's going to go off into another topic such as relationships. But these young people, boys and girls, but particularly these young men, are out of control and they need to get checked. All right, that's my plan. I landed it. Go ahead.
So, a lot of thoughts.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to make a short flight. Um, as I scream at my daughter for the fifth time. Hold
Oh,
on.
I'm sorry.
Get
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm sorry. Hey.
no, you. She can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Oh, Kyle's like, look, I gotta put these headphones on. Hold on. Related to the teenagers. So recently, one of my coworkers said to me, "Did you hear about the incident with the father who got killed at Bojangles?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And so I don't know where it took place at. Um, but a young lady was working at Bojangles. Apparently, from the story that I read, her and one of the managers got into it. She called her dad, let her dad know that, I guess, that they got into it. And so he came up there, said whatever he said to the manager. The manager earlier in the shift was asked to leave. And I guess he stayed. I don't know what happened in between the time he was asked to leave. He came back, the manager, sat in the parking lot, waited for the dad to come pick up his daughter, and shot the man in the parking lot dead. So now he's 24 years old. Life is gone. Um, I'm sure y'all saw what happened at KSU, where there's a dad who shot two kids on the campus. And they said that he was in an altercation with both of them. And I guess he shot, one is wounded and one is dead, 43-year-old man. And, the question is, well, what was he doing on campus? His child was attending the school. And from the cameras, he got into this altercations with these two young men. One was 19 and one was 22. So recently I was driving, and when I say recently, but I was driving with Allie, or we were somewhere, I can't remember. And she was staring at someone. And I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "My dad told me if somebody's staring at you, you stare them back and you say hi." Like basically what you looking at. And I said, "Don't you ever do that." And I don't know why he would tell you to do that. And I started with those two stories because we want to be in a situation where we're able to protect our kids, and we should be able to call our fathers. My dad is notorious at 86 years old. He lives in a senior community, but when me and my daughter is there and we have to go to the car and it's at night, he walk outside with a bat. Now I know in his mind at 86 years old, he feels like, he about to do something, and I can appreciate the protective instinct. But very much we are living in different times, not with just the kids, but with the adults, and adults feeling a level of accountability. I think if we were in the early 90s, Kayode, it wouldn't have been nothing wrong for you to have walked over to those kids and said, hey, you guys are being a little loud, right? And feeling comfortable as an elder, if you will, in this context, to be able to do so. And the kids would respect your authority, quote unquote, figure of that commune. And I'm sure others was like, well, is anybody going to say anything? Um, and I get the frustration because I've been in situations like that where it's like the kids are loud, they're talking loud, they're recording, they're doing all of these things. Like, even if you look at TikTok now, you can see them doing these pranks on people, recording it for TikToks, right? And so you can hear the people say, are you recording for TikTok? And so we're in that culture of, I want to be instant famous. So you got that's working against us. So as you said, you think it's the parents. I think it's the combination. I know that you were probably headed to the absence of the father, or kids being brought up in single parent household. I think you was driving into that direction. And some of that is a contributing factor. But you also have kids who have two parent households who are acting a plumb dumb fool. So I don't necessarily think that it is a single parent thing. And I'm not saying that because I am a single parent. I'm saying that because, to your question, do we see this in Atlanta? Yeah. And we see it from kids who come from very affluent families. We see it from kids who come from, humble family means. I have a friend, or former friend, she makes significant amount of money, and her kids and her act a little hood and ghetto. And it's a two-family household. And they find this stuff to be funny, right? So I think it's a matter of, it's an unfortunate cultural shift where you have parents who are trying to be Instagram famous, you have kids who's trying to be Instagram famous, you have teachers who are exhausted and worn out. Here in Atlanta, I just found out that they put out that if you're a retired teacher, you can come back, keep your retirement, earn a second retirement, and get your salary and some other stuff because they're in need of teachers. But you have people who are retiring early, if you will, out of teaching because the kids are different. So you don't have you have young teachers who want to be Instagram famous, who haven't lived enough teaching our kids. You have parents who are young. I have a friend, we hung out the day before yesterday on my mom's birthday. And I was telling our other friend, I think her son is on the spectrum. And she said, oh, he is, but she won't accept it. And to hear the stories that her son has endured I thought he was 4 at the way he was acting. He's 7. And she's highly educated and come from a 2-parent household, and just some other stuff that is happening there. But I'm laying the plan because I think that programs like yours, not necessarily kicking them out unless it's extreme, right? But I think programs like yours, while it can't fix the masses, it helps the few. And I think that's something that's critically important, is that we begin to rebuild the after school programs that was taken away. I think that's something that is a missed. Because and particularly, I will say this for middle school, I just had a royal fuss out with my sorority that it seemed like all of our programs are focused on elementary kids. And I get it, like you got to start them early, but there's a subset of people in middle school that's not getting any love. And every time I see a new program or people come my way and like, oh, I need help and I'm trying to figure out my program, I literally say, what about middle school? And I guess I'm getting tired of saying it to the point where I might need to just do it myself, because middle school is a rough year. And many of those kids that I'm probably sure you're talking about are middle schoolers. And so if you don't catch them at that middle school age, it is rough. But there's no programs, and that's what's making it rough. At Alley School, there is no after school programs other than this one program for girl empowerment. And when I inquired about it, they were like, oh, well, the kids not interested. Well, they're not interested because nothing's being offered. Here in Atlanta, middle school after school programs are dismal. I'm looking at summer camps for Allie. I struggled for summer camps this past year for her age group. and this is in North Carolina. And I'm sitting here like, wait a minute. You know, you have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who are out here just dwindling. And then you get these, because they're dwindling and nobody's carving and shaping and understand, they are all going through all of these emotional, psychological gumbo man mix of emotions, and nobody is hoping to put these ingredients together. You get these ignorant high schoolers who then become ignorant young adults. And you think that you can just jump from from 5th grade to 9th grade, and now we want to serve the 9th graders, right? And so I think that's, to me, I think the solution starts with having programs like yours. I think the solution starts with re-engaging at middle school. Elementary kids, they're gonna get everything under the sun. But I really think the entry point now that we need to really focus on is middle school. And it's unfortunate that as a parent, I'm scared for my daughter. I'm scared to even, not necessarily defend her because I'm going to be that lioness, but I'm having to tell her there are certain places you just don't go. Just don't even go there because it's going to attract a certain clientele. And that's unfortunate. Like, you know, I would say, Katie, don't go back there. If you see them kids in there, make a note to the manager, call a school. When I was in private school, if we acted a fool and we had that brand on, people called our school and said that there was a group of Ursuline girls at this place doing X, Y, and Z. Handle it. And our principal would get on the phone, get on the intercom, and say, "I don't know which girls was here, but we're gonna find out. And once we find out, you're either gonna get suspended or you're gonna get a detention." And it was a part of the brand of our school was, if you in that uniform and you acting a fool, we gonna find out about it and we gonna handle it in school. So my next solution is call the school and let the school know that there was a group of kids and da da da. Because if you just ignore it, it's just going to continue on. At some point, you have to take action and say, well, I did my part. I called the school. I let them know. And hey, even out of that conversation, KD, my mind also went to, you can say, hey, I'll come in and do behavior management in an after school program for you guys, because this is a bad look on your school. I know your school brand to be this, 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 and this. But what I saw, what we all experienced, was not aligned with your brand. And so that was my other thought, was how can you serve outside of you being disgusted and upset? And again, it's a good thing because you're like, hey, I'm sharing this story with school success kids, right? And that'll make a parent like me be like, oh, I don't want my kid to go there, right? And so those kids are a walking billboard of their school. So take that opportunity to call them on Monday and say, hey, let me tell you what the experience was. And let me tell you what the brand is that is now being put out there. So that's where I'm gonna land it at.
That's beautiful. Shelley, thank you. That was an excellent delivery. Thank you, sister. Very good. Good. I lost track of the protocol, because I'm all emotional, but perfect. Thank you so much. I made a note of the time and all that to have that call on Monday at 4:30, 5:30. It's in at 4:30, 5:30. Thank you. I'm sorry, y'all. I know I derailed what our agenda is. Cal, you still there? Oh, I got some
Yeah, I'm
text.
still here.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I'm still here. I just put stuff in the chat while
Thank
Shelly
you, bro.
was
You got it.
expressing. No, I don't have nothing to add. She said it, as an educator, she said it. I'm in line. I'm totally in line with that. I experience the same thing up here in Maryland. I'm in the schools. They're understaffed. They're overworked. Middle school is the roughest. Educators know this. That's why I put in the chat that that's why there's always positions open in middle school. I remember the most fights, and this is in Tennessee. The most fights I had ever in school was during 7th and 8th grade. Because in Tennessee, it was K through 4. That was elementary. It was 5 and 6 was middle. And then 7th and 8th was junior high, but they still consider that, middle. But junior high, middle was the most fights I've ever seen and been in. Because so much when I got to high school, I'm like, man, do y'all be fighting a lot? They be like, nah, man. I'm like, you sure, man? Like, you ain't like people be kind of like, nah, dog, it ain't like that here. And it was like, as a freshman, I was asking like, it ain't like that here, man. It ain't getting down like that, you know. And I was like, word. And then as you go up, you're like, oh yeah, no, like fights happen, but it ain't like in junior high. Fights happening once a week, every 2 weeks, you know, because their brain is forming, their emotions are forming, hormones, and then especially with the hypersexual, hyper violence that they watch on TV and movies, and what they're experiencing at home, what they're experiencing in their communities, their neighborhoods, all that is rolled up into one. So that's why you have a lot of the distress with that age group is in this country. And I'm sure it's in other countries too, but it's a little more tamed, of course. And I feel you, Kayode. I was speaking the same thing. I'll hint at this real quick. I was speaking to Aisha about some of what you're mentioning the other week because I was in class teaching and I'm teaching mostly Latino students at the school. It's a mixture of Latino and Black. Uh, and they're real chatty, and it's not disrespectful. They're not like cursing me out or anything, but it's real chatty. And one of the assistant teachers, she's around your age, Kayode, she had to talk to them and say, you see this man talking to y'all, and he's sharing information. If you don't like the information, just shut up. Like she said it just like that. She didn't say shut up. She's like, just shut up, okay? Like, if you don't have anything to add, just be quiet and just shut up, okay? Like the man is trying to teach you something, and if you don't want to listen, just be quiet. Y'all too chatty over here. And I told her, I said, thank you. I said, look, I'm not here for my health. I'm not going to speak over you. I'm not doing it. I'm coming from New York City. I've lived in different places. Look, I'm here for y'all. If y'all don't want it, cool. I get it. And again, y'all not being disrespectful, but you are being disrespectful, and you are somebody trying to share information with you. This is for your benefit. This is for you. So, and when I gave him my speech that riot act, calm, focus, but like, hey, this is for you, y'all. I want you to have advantage. I want you to win. But if that's not what you want, fine. Keep your mouth closed and let the other people listen. After that, they were compliant. They were compliant, and it takes that because it takes that male energy. It takes that male energy to rally that around. It just does. Shelly, that's one thing I know you didn't mention, but I know you're hinting at. It takes a man and a woman, but it takes that man to kind of get people in line. It takes that masculine testosterone. Because when you're dealing with this type of environment, it's not, does it apply everywhere? I don't know. But I know in this American system that's based on a lot of aggression and, like I said, hypersexuality, hyperviolence, it takes that male energy, that strong, focused, disciplined male energy to come and kind of get things in order, right? So when you don't have that, like you said, Kayode, when you don't have, like, and Shelly, you made a great point. Back in the 90s, even early 2000s, we would feel comfortable approaching children to say, hey man, like, hey, no, man, y'all gotta chill out. Y'all gotta act right. Y'all in front of these folks. It don't even really matter in front of folks. You're in front of me. And this is not how we carry ourselves in public. This is not how we do. You know what I mean? And last point, I was sitting in the lobby in the 8th grade hallway this week, and these two girls were doing an assignment. And they was cursing, they was talking to each other. And in my mind, I was like, should I say something? And I didn't say something because I'm like, not yet. Not yet. Because they weren't being disrespectful to anybody. They were talking amongst themselves, but I could hear, I was in earshot. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna say nothing yet because I don't have the pool I want yet because I haven't talked to the 8th graders a lot this year yet. But I said next semester, I ain't gonna forget. I remember. I'm like, I remember them too. I'm remember that. So when I start to hear and I have a little more respect and a lot of more notoriety in the school, I'm gonna start pulling cards. But I was like, not yet. You know what I'm saying? Because I would have said something and it wouldn't have been like highly disrespectful, like, yo, ladies, come on. But I was just like, not just yet. You know what I'm saying? So it takes a little bit of, but that comes from my experience of working in schools. I've been, I'm a vet. So, but everything Shelly said, totally on point. Totally on point. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Cal. Yeah. So listen,
And we do need more programs. And that's a call. That's a call for us or people to create those programs.
right. And let me interject on that. And again, Shelley, on point. Obviously, there's something I got so emotional. I got to do better on my delivery, and I'm working on it. And Shelley, you're a good example for that. Thank you. You too, Cal. Obviously, you too, Cal. I'm still learning, putting it together. I'm just a passionate person. Um,
Indeed.
but but one of the things I think we are remiss by, and I know this already, is just the cognitive dissonance is astounding to me. Is this is designed this way? I don't think we can't.
Oh yeah.
We have
Oh,
to
for sure.
we have to acknowledge that reality. We
Yes.
don't want to believe it. and I'm not going to bring up others because it may derail the conversation. But the reality of it is it's designed this way. Shelley, what you brought up, I knew this and I mentioned this already 10 years ago. And I met with executive directors of after school programs. I've met with teachers. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'm thoroughly educated, well-versed, doused, submerged in this system. It is designed this way. They purposely fund the early education, the not the middle schoolers, the kindergartens and up to sixth grade or something like that, not the middle schoolers. They purposely fund those early grades. They give them all the money and all that, thinking that that's going to be enough to cascade to the upper grades, what have you, which is a part of their system. But they're purposely not funding middle school programs, after school programs, and they're purposely not funding high school programs. They're purposely not doing that. This is the point I'm trying to. It's designed that way. It's nothing. It's not like they don't know. They know. They know exactly what's going on. And I'm gonna close this out as to say there's an agenda, and I'm not sure, Shelley, if you heard of it, but the agenda is the school to prison pipeline. Our opinions are good, but we need to back it up with stats. So anyway, I'm gonna play this video for you. We have our opinions, but we need to back our opinions up with facts, right? And I got it. I'm doing my best to cover. So if we bring out facts that of how we feel, and it's someone of our culture presenting it, then it's biased, right? Because this person is black, you all think the same, what have you. But it should carry a little more weight if someone speaking on, you say the atrocities that's happening to a certain culture, you say black, but it's coming from a white person. Coming from a different ethnicity, stating the same thing carries a little more weight in reference to how far it goes and how much is reached. So nobody can use the excuse that it's biased and it's one-sided and it's coming from one perspective. No, you got another culture, a whole different perspective, speaking on the same thing, saying the same thing. So it carries a little more weight. So I'm saying all that to say I want to share with you as we talk about this education system and how it's purposely designed this way. I want to share this with you. It's a 2-minute video, not too long. I'm talking like your little children ain't got no attention span. But it's a short video that I want to play. I want to share with you all, and I would like I want us to get your take on it and feedback on it.
Why does the average 18-year-old graduate high school with no skills? When children start public school, they're given lectures by their teacher and textbooks. And if they could memorize that information and demonstrate that on a standardized test, they're said to be smart. And they're rewarded. And the teachers are rewarded and pressured to teach to the test, because their objective is to make sure the students have a transcript that could get them into college so that the students become eligible to take out college loans at 18 years old. They put memorization over critical thinking, and skill development's not even in the equation. Because the public school system has become a school to university pipeline, and teachers are pressured to rush their curriculum to get through everything and teach to the test. And because of that, everything is taught out of context, and the students become indifferent to the material. And you always hear them say, when am I ever going to use this? And at the end of every 45-minute class, they literally crumple up their work and throw it in the garbage. And because college is the only objective of public school, classes like woodshop and home ec have been thrown out the window, because skill development is not a priority. Getting students ready for the real world is not a priority. Getting students into college is the only objective of the public school system. Well, that and indoctrinating kids into nonsense, but that's another talk. So the average 18-year-old who attends public school is not capable of living a free and independent life. They are reliant on their parents, reliant on corporations, and reliant on the government.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's the whole video?
That's the whole video. I kept it short. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to take up 15. I'm tailoring the content, for short attention spans. But that's the gist of it. I got to do better. I should be short in my thing. But yeah, that's the whole video.
Oh.
Mm.
I mean, I feel that. I mean, I don't think that's anything new. We've talked about that. I know that here in Atlanta, the Southside schools have trade building programs, or what they call tech skill programs incorporated, and the schools on the north side of town, they have college programs that are geared towards those students, promoting them to go to college. Now, I'm of the age where I think both are necessary. I gotta get my thoughts together. I believe both is necessary, right? I believe that you have some people who are college bound ready, and you have some people who are just going to be trade individuals. And I think both of them are necessary. I don't think it's up to the school to determine which route the child should go. That part I don't like. That you have these individuals that make these assessments about kids and their abilities, and you just never know who's going to end up with who's going to end up where. I do feel like the traditional learning, as he mentioned, you got a textbook, you study it, and then you regurgitate the information on a test. Is not it should not be the pedagogy for teaching. I really now appreciate the fact that when I look at the schools my mom placed me in, it really focused a lot on critical thinking, math skills, and writing. And I feel like we are in the system. I feel like, to your earlier point, public school have just got to the point where it's like, study this material, know the test, and move on. And that critical thinking piece have left in some schools. And we hear this is based on the zip code for which you live, can also be a predictor of where you're going to go in your future, unless otherwise derailed into another system or another zip code, right? And so one of the things that I recognize with my daughter is, while she doesn't know tech skills with PowerPoint like I want her to, she's able to articulate herself in conversation, as opposed to the kids that's in public schools that's learning all of these tech things. And when I sat down and I had a conversation with someone, they like, the fact that she's learning critical thinking skills will say that if we put her in front of a PowerPoint presentation and she doesn't know, it's going to take her 5.2 seconds to learn how to do it. As opposed to with the kids who are being pre-exposed to it, they can't critically think their way through a conversation or through a proposal, or if something happens, how do you manage your time? How do you think outside of the box? What they know is what it is that they're being taught, and that's the skill that they've mastered. And now I'm also seeing where in Florida, they passing a law for kids to start working at 14. That says something to me. We're going back into the industrial age where they're like, we need more workers, we need more laborers, and not people of managers to think strategically about how these businesses are going to expand and operate internationally. We have a country now that's like, we want to keep all the resources here. Well, when you talk about keeping all the resources here and building resources here, you have to have laborers to build out those resources. You have to have laborers to dig for oil. You have to have laborers to build the buildings. Where do you get that labor from if you don't start them at 12, 13, 14, where their basic skill set is basic understanding of do this, regurgitate this, and follow this instruction, and then go home 8 to 5? As opposed to a critical thinking child who's like, why are we working this hard? Why are we doing this? Why are you not giving me equal pay? Why are you not, rewarding me financially for the work that I'm investing in your company? Because they don't want that anymore. We've gotten past that free thought. So I think going back to kind of like landing this plane, and then I'll turn it over to Kyle, I think that the video is on point. I don't think that public school systems are designed to place people in college anymore. I used to say this maybe about 5 years ago, college is going to be more for the elite, and we're going to start to see more colleges sunset. We're also going to start to see more colleges that are in existence sunset certain programs. So therefore, even if a kid is able to get into college, whatever their program is going to be a specialized program at a specialized school, and either they get it or they don't. And for the rest of the masses who can't get into college or don't have the ability to afford college because they're changing the financial aid, they are going to have to either be strategic thinkers and be like, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, or they're going to end up being laborers. And now I think I read a report not too long ago that said two things that are getting ready to happen. One, we're going to need more labor workers like plumbers, electrician. Those individuals are going to become our next millionaires, not tech genius. It's going to be those individuals because AI is taking over. But you can't have AI to paint a house. You can't have AI necessarily right now to build, and do all these other things. So we're moving into that space where who the next millionaires are going to be. They also said that liberal arts is about to become the next sought after majors. So no longer math and science because the field has flooded. And so now schools are having to redesign and rechange their focus to be more on liberal arts programs, psychology, sociology, because they have to be able to control communities. They have to be able to control people, laborers. So they're going to need people to be able to think like that. They're also going to need people to think strategically to be able to program these AIs. AI individual engineers, they're very logic thinkers. So they need people to be creative, which is why liberal arts is becoming the next big boom for colleges. At the same time, you see college price tags in the US is steadily going up and financial aid assistance is steadily going down. We're going back into that age where either you can afford to go to college or you can't. So public school is not about to be the place where kids go to college. Public school is about to be the place where kids go to learn how to master a skill. So when they graduate, knowing that they can't go to college, they can go into the workforce.
Kyle? I know that's heavy to follow, brother. That's a
Well, yeah, well, no, we're all in community, so it's really ditto. I agree totally. And also, I'll add this, and I'll add on to what the sister so eloquently shared with us and stated. This is why we need our own schools. This is why we need our own schools. Because, like Malcolm said, if you depend on your oppressor, your enemy, to teach your children, you'll never win. You'll never win. This is why we need our own programs, our own schools, our own houses, our own do for self. Like Marcus Garvey, up ye mighty race, accomplish what you will. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's simple, but it's challenging and difficult to do. But that's why we need our own schools. That's why I promote HBCUs and all their challenges, difficulties, lackadaisicalness, debauchery, whatever little negative you want to throw in there. That's why I still support our HBCUs, because it's still us at least attempting to do for self, right? So we need our own systems. We need our own schools. We need to monitor our own children. And
I say there's one thing, and then
yes,
we can talk about it at a later date, but
yeah,
mindful of HBCUs.
Say that again?
Be mindful.
I said be mindful of HBCUs because
of course,
they are not the same as once they were. We're becoming white led, and
yes,
just we can have a conversation about that.
Oh, for sure. Oh, no, indeed. But and here's the thing. One thing I want to share, and it ties back into what I'm going to say. So, right, we definitely always have to be mindful. We have to stay nimble. We always have to stay nimble and stay aware of the changing dynamic. And that's what you mentioned so eloquently, Shelly, is the program that I'm working with as a career coach here in Maryland, is that nimbleness, is to say, okay, coding was great, right? Coding was great since from 2015 to 2021, coding, right? So quote unquote, right? Now they got AI doing the coding. So coding is not as sexy, as unique as it once was. That's the shift. We needed people to code. We got that now. Now we're moving on. Now we have progressed, and now we don't need people to really do as much as that anymore. And tying into the piece I want to mention, I was talking to my counselor. So my point of contact at the schools are the school counselors. So the school counselor at one of my schools, she's a 6th grade counselor. She was like, yo, I grew up in North Carolina. Montgomery County is the next county next to Prince George's County here. She's like, when I was in Montgomery County, I was working with the white folks, and it was racism for sure, but it was organized, right? And she said, now I'm over here with my people in Prince George's, and I'm working with my people, and I appreciate it, but it's so disorganized. And she was like, ain't that something, Mr. Dixon? So do I go with the white racism organization, or do I go with my people where it's disorganized? I said, damn. Her name is Miss Melton. I said, damn, Miss Melton, you just said something that I've been thinking for a while now, is that when you tend to work with our folks, it's working with our folks and it's doing great work, but things are kind of haywire a little bit, versus working with the white folk, things dealing with the racism and the sexism and all isms, but it seems like it's very organized and things are kind of like where they neatly placed where they should be. So it's a neat. I'm gonna go. Oh, it's a Negro dilemma. it's a Negro dilemma.
Kyle,
yeah.
Kyle, I gotta say this.
Yeah.
I know I have 2 jobs.
Yeah.
One at the HBCU and one at my organization. I just had my annual review at the white organization, and I got a 2 in collaboration, and I got a 2 in teamwork. Said I do work well with the team. And I told my supervisor, I have never in all of my time had a challenge working with teams. And he said to me, well, you have to recognize 5 years ago, I didn't have this distinction on my team. And I said, well, the 2 people, and he was talking about the 2 Black girls, one that's placed and the one that's still there. And so he basically like, they don't have a problem, so why do I have a problem? Now, I bring it up because I'm in development. At the Black school, I don't have this problem working on the team. Hell, they like my ideas. We just don't have shit. We don't have no resources. We don't have no money. I'm barely getting paid. Every time I ask questions like, hey, can we, like, I'm literally feeding them, hey, these are systems that work in these white spaces. And it's, oh, we can't do that. It's always an excuse. It's always, I'm frustrated. I'm about to be Kayode in my passion. It's always something. And I don't get paid as much at the white organization, but I have a lot more freedom because they're willing to pay for me to get my fundraising certificate. The Black school, I just got accepted into this program called Mighty Middle. It is a program that is designed to take emerging individuals who work in the HBCU sector and prepare them for leadership positions. And then once I finish this cohort, I go into the Alpha cohort, which is training individuals to become presidents of HBCUs. So the Alpha thing. So I tell my supervisor that I got accepted into this program. I said, so I need to be able to work from home because it's loud and it's disruptive, because now that I'm in this workspace, we have no regards for our space. People just walk in and just start talking. Fuck, I'm on the phone. Fuck, I might be in a mid-thought. It's just, I'm going to walk in and just start talking to you, right? So I was like, hey, they were passing out chocolate and headphones last week so that everyone feel comfortable about these goddamn headphones. Anyway, I say that to say, you are absolutely right. But at the same time, I ended up in this environment where I am stressed out as a Black woman. I'm like, these white people, you just gave me a 2 for community. I work with y'all on the team. I don't think I'm complicated. And I think I communicate very well. I failed. And he said, I'm going to need for you to work on building more trust with your team. Now, mind you, my work does not intersect with these individuals whatsoever. They're best friends. They're best friends to the point where they already said they're going to get buried with each other. So I'm working. I'm working in a culture that is so against me. But he said, I have to do better. And so then when I started giving him examples of things that he didn't see that was taking place, his response was like, oh, well, I didn't know about that. And I was like, yes, because I don't come to you with everything, because I don't think that you would understand what my experiences is. And then he says, I didn't have this problem before. I said, well, have you ever talked to the other 2? I said, because I can tell you we all have the same shared experience. I think because I'm a little bit older, that I handle it much different than they do. They tend to just be like, well, that's just who they are, and accept it. I don't accept the bullshit. Anyway, because you said that, I just wanted to point that out. Like, that same day I went to work at HBCU and I felt right at home. I laughed, but I was also frustrated at the same time. So what do you do?
Yes, that is exactly. And that's the dilemma we face, in these spaces. These are the dilemmas we face. My solution, what I do, I'm like, look, I'm gonna get in these spaces, do what I can, extract the resources, and take them back to the folks in my community that not only are going to use them but going to appreciate them. That's always typically been my idea. And again, the space has to be able to feed me in a certain way, has to be able to support me in a certain way. And I may be like, okay, this space isn't conducive to my health, my wherewithal. My wife is going through this right now with her job, like it's a great opportunity. The money's pretty good, but the shit is toxic. It's like it doesn't fit her personality. It doesn't fit how she likes to work in a certain environment. So, that's a problem. So, and again, we know we're behind enemy lines. And that's what Kayode was, I think, mentioned for earlier. We're behind enemy lines, and that doesn't mean everything has to be like military and stiff and we don't have time to celebrate. It doesn't have to be like that because people take it to the extreme. But we are behind enemy lines, and these folks are trying to make sure that they keep their resources. They make sure they're trying to keep it all to themselves. And like you said, Shelly, earlier, subject certain people to lack of critical thinking, lack of opportunities where they have at least the option to not be maybe a manual worker, or maybe not have the option to have to go to college. So yeah, that's what it is. And that's my solution for it. That's what keeps me at peace and from snapping on folks, but sometimes people need to be snapped on. That's one thing too, but that's another story.